Starting today, do something, anything on a consistent basis to move forward your dreams. My friends, I ask that if you are truly interested in financial freedom, if you're interested in growing your wealth, if you're interested in learning how the stock market works, then by all means, for free, spend 10 to 15 minutes with us each and every day. You would not believe how difficult it is just to carve out 10 to 15 minutes on a daily basis to do something this important. It is keenly important if you are interested in having early retirement choice, freedom in the future, any number of things. We're not a stock calling service, not a bond calling service, gold, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency calling service. We're an education firm. We want you to practice with us. It doesn't cost you anything to prove to yourself that you can do this, except for your time, which is, of course, the most valuable thing in the end that you have. So instead of spending it playing an online game, watching a video for entertainment, a movie, Netflix, whatever it might be, just carve out 10 to 15 minutes a day with us. That is all we ask. It will come to you, and for the time you spend, you will more than make up for that in the future. Don't be fooled by thinking that you have to immediately start investing your money when you don't know what you're doing. That is called gambling, and the house always wins. That means you always lose. You're dealing with professionals here. You want to make sure that you can make the right moves, and it just takes practice. It's like everything else. Everything is hard at first. It just takes practice. Let's jump into these charts. We see stocks and bonds down, gold up, Bitcoin up. And this is, again, a strange little anomaly here. We look at the New York Stock Exchange Bitcoin Index, 7.17%. It's up. But you look at Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which is invested in real Bitcoin, it's actually down 1.80%. Look at our short-term futures market in Bitcoin. BITO down 1.11%. BTF down 0.76%. XBTF. These are all short-term futures that, again, are in Bitcoin, and we see them all down for the day. Now, the overall crypto market is up for the day. I can zoom into the daily and show you it's up for the day 5.51%. So again, it is curious, just, and that was the half day. I said daily. I can show you what's going on today by looking at these charts, and you can see as far as a pull up there, it is indeed interesting. And overall, and again, when you study what the New York Stock Exchange Bitcoin Index is about, it is the New York Stock Exchange looking at various crypto exchanges and where Bitcoin is priced throughout the world, and then what is acceptable to them as per the valuation of Bitcoin, not just going with one index, one person's call on it, but things that meet the criteria of the New York Stock Exchange. And that is, again, what gives me sort of more trust in where this is as far as the overall market goes. But up for the day, 7.17%. What does that mean, though? We'll just sort of start with Bitcoin now that I started with Bitcoin. We still have, look at this down candle for the week. We still have strong downward pressure. Price percent oscillator stroking down, derivative oscillators very negative, about flat. Big red down candle forming for the week, price well below the weekly and the 2-day. We look at the 2-day, big down candle. This candle's now finished drawing, price well below the weekly and the 2-day. On the 2-day chart, look at that price percent oscillator, hockey sticking over. Derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum. We look at the half day, and that's where you see throughout the day on Tuesday, slowing down in the morning on the down movement, popping up in the afternoon. But don't get fooled by one good day on the half day chart telling you that everything's over and Bitcoin's in the green now. We're not there. We'll watch, we'll wait, we'll see, And again, when we go back in time and we look at how wonderful our charts have been for tracking Bitcoin, and our 2-day for getting us out when things are rolling over, getting us back in when things are going up on a 2-day recross, getting us out again. How many weeks? 3 weeks before the weekly vertical crossover occurred, somewhere again near that top. That's beautiful. That's what we want to practice trade in order to be able to follow Bitcoin. Still working on getting the folks at TC2000 to start tracking some more of these cryptocurrencies for us, because about all we can really do is look at the New York Stock Exchange Bitcoin Index. We can look at Grayscale Ethereum. We can look at BITW, which is, again, the top 10 crypto index fund. And for my Patreon members, we'll be going over all sorts of crypto charts tomorrow on Wednesday for you. So if you're interested in crypto, really interested in it, other than just having our rundown on a daily basis of Bitcoin and talking about what's going on in some of the rest of the crypto space, by all means, become a Patreon supporter. Support what we do here at any of the 3 levels, and you will get an unbelievable amount of information. You're interested in options trading? We have the best options trading, I believe, out there. Great basic options that you need to get started. Now, let's talk about the S&P 500 going down 1.22% for the day. I heard people talk about yesterday how, things had been going down and then how things sort of recovered. Well, I'm telling you, when you look at the weekly chart, I ain't seeing any recovery there. I can see where the market is hammering down with the biggest red down candle I have seen going back all the way to, do you recognize this area? This is what we call the COVID crash over all those weeks when COVID first took off in 2020. So what we see here, big down movement. Hockey sticking over on the price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator dropping off the deep end. 2-day, same kind of thing. Lots of downward pressure, big red building down candles. So again, lots of downward pressure. We can see where things really stroked down on Monday, and then that slowing over the course of the next day and a half. But again, still down 1 point. What did I say there? It's hard for me to read my chart. 1.22%. So let's look at the Nasdaq 100. Even bigger down for the day, 2.32%. Big red down candle, price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator heading down. Those of you who jumped into the 2-day recross on the Qs or on the S&P 500, have you not been doing great shorting this market? Whether you did it with something like a put, or you turned around and practice traded something like, PSQ, where you practice trading a short fund just to get a feel for what that's about. You can see the price is different, but the way these are set up and done with derivatives is they mimic the opposite direction of the underlying ETF. QQQ, the underlying ETF of the short here, and it tracks it percentage-wise. And you can tell where that 2-day recross occurred. There has been lots and lots of appreciation. That's just one of the short funds with the Qs. The S&P 500, here's a simple short, and you can see again where that 2-day recross occurred, and the appreciation there has been nice. Now remember, these are revalued on a daily basis many times, plus whenever you look at any of these short funds, plus extremely high fees, so most people don't stay in them but for short periods of time, but they're interested to mess around with, and you're not going to know if it's something for you unless you practice trade it. If you just throw real money in and see how much you can lose, well, if you're Jeff Bezos, good luck to you. But again, you don't get that money typically, and you don't keep that money for sure if you're not a good steward of it. So don't be stupid. Now, let's just make sure, did we look at the half day? Same kind of thing we saw on the S&P as we see on the Qs here. sideways sliding, but again, still hammering down. Now, let's move from stocks, go to bonds. What do we see on bonds for this week? Well, we see a slowdown in the down movement. We have a green spinning top, almost a doji. That price percent oscillator still pegged going down. Derivative oscillator still going down, but down just a little bit for the day, 0.16%. 2-day, again, we can see where we've got a green spinning top, the second one, a bigger green open box spinning top now. Derivative oscillator losing downward momentum, price percent oscillator was heading up and now is heading down, probably based somewhat on that down movement for the day. And we're really day and a half. We can see where things went up strong for 3 and then rolling over at this point. Price percent oscillator still positive, heading down now. Derivative oscillator positive, losing momentum. We can see where that price just sort of rolled off that weekly trend line after passing through the 2-day. So we'll continue to keep an eye on 20-year bonds. We still have that weekly vertical crossover in effect, and that 2-day crossover going down has not ended. Let's look at gold. Lastly, up for the day, 0.32%. Gold just keeps going, doesn't it? Just keeps trudging up. Now, it's beautiful to see. We had that weekly vertical crossover in gold all the way back in late October. Went up for 2 weeks, then rolled over for 3 weeks, then started the chug. Never crossed over going down, almost had a bounce off there as we had the 2-day recross, the jumping in point, up for a week, sideways for 2 weeks, and over the last couple of weeks, just a chugging up. Price percent oscillator moving up, derivative oscillator moving up. The 2-day recross was good for us. We saw it move for several days, drop off, scare us, and then start back up again. So it's beautiful. Look at that, just moving up that beautiful 2-day trend line. What do we see on the half day? Again, we can see where things up in the morning, further up in the afternoon. Price percent oscillator heading up. Derivative oscillator had been losing momentum, started gaining it again. So that's beautiful to see. One little thing, let me just throw this in for you guys. I've been watching silver. We hear a lot about silver. We saw silver cross over going, well, actually didn't cross over until this last Friday. I looked at it, thought about silver, and thought better of it. It did cross over. We do have a red open box candle forming as that derivative oscillator is gaining upward momentum. Price percent oscillator's lost a little bit of energy. 2-day, and again, I was having some concerns about silver as I was looking at all the charts, as we say all the time. Had a nice 2-day candle going through Friday, but this latest 2-day candle burning off a whole bunch of energy. And of course, as we got into Thursday, this is when I looked down and I saw, as we were going into Friday, things really slowing down on silver Thursday afternoon, and then Friday slowing down a lot. Just couldn't pull the trigger because I didn't feel good about where it was going, and I'm glad I didn't. Waiting to see if silver is going to turn around and start gathering a little bit more steam and showing something better here on this 2-day trend line. So that is where we are. Just thought I'd throw that in as a little extra. Patreon members, get ready. Tomorrow we will be throwing at you the Charting Crypto podcast that we do for you once a week. And then, of course, on Thursdays, you get your 20 weekly vertical crossovers. I can tell you, if nothing changes, it's going to be another batch of a lot of downward moves. Hope that's been going well for you. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.